Good afternoon, Pokésports. I'm your host, Mike, and I stand with one Pokemon on the field. Now, recently, Terastalization has kind of hit a new revelation for a lot of the Pokemon community, and I've been meaning to talk about Terastalization for a long time. And now with this, I think this is actually the perfect time for us to talk about it. So let's get into it. With about a month left until the release of Scarlet and Violet, lots of gaming press and content creators, not Pokesports, but you know what, hey, it's fine, were invited to New York to try out Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. And there they got to see a lot of cool things. They got to see how the sandwich making is going to happen. They got to see how Let's Go battles are going to happen. But they also got to see how terastalization works. Now, there, a Nintendo representative apparently confirmed that terastalization doesn't actually replace your current type. And for those of you who are new or still don't totally understand how terastalization works, let me break it down for you. Essentially, terastalization adds a new type to your Pokemon. So if you have a Pikachu and you give it a flying hat, then it becomes also a flying type. So outgoing moves that are flying type will do 1.5 times damage, and damage that comes in will be treated as if it's a flying Pokemon. So things like ground moves will be immune, right? Now, if you are the same type as what you've terastalized into, so if the Pikachu becomes a lightning crown, an electric crown Pikachu, then it will double instead of 1.5 times damage, double the damage that's outgoing. So when you're using a Thunderbolt, instead of it doing 80 damage, it'll do 160 base damage. I don't actually think that's the right base damage for Thunderbolt, but don't worry about it. Anyway, that's the gist of it. What we thought that terastalization did was that it replaced your typing. So if the Pikachu uses Flying Terra, then it would become a flying type for all intents and purposes, outgoing and incoming damage. Turns out from this Nintendo representative that it doesn't actually do that, that it adds a type onto the Pikachu, at least defensively. Defensively, it stays the Terra type. So when it uses flying terastalization, it becomes a flying type. It gets that immunity. It's no longer hit by all the things, the one thing that electric moves are weak to, right? But offensively, it retains its original typing. Okay. So if you go and use a Thunderbolt after you've terastalized into flying type, you still have that electric stab. You still have that electric 1.5 times damage, which the Pokemon community just lost their minds over. They thought it was amazing or bad or all of the things within that spectrum. Personally, I think that it's not a bad mechanic, actually. I think that terastalization is such a departure from Dynamax that compared to that, it's not so bad at all, right? Compared to Dynamax, now you're just getting a boost to one type's move rather than all of your type's moves, and you get a resistance to one type instead of doubling your HP, which was just absolutely nuts. Now, this really empowers a lot of Pokemon that before terastalization only had most of its original typings moves. Look at Regieleki, for example. It has, I believe, a rock move in Ancient Power. It has a dark move in Assurance. It has a flying move in Bounce, and then a bunch of normal moves, right? But most of its moves are electric type. And it's a great electric Pokemon. It's super fast. It has Transistor, boosts its electric attacks by 50%. And it had its same type attack bonus. So you were getting a lot of multipliers on top of that Regieleki. With how we thought that Terra was going to work before, was that it was going to lose that electric capability, which sucked, right? Now it's not. It's just not. And so you can actually Terra it into something else and still get all the benefits of being a Regieleki. So it really keeps a lot of Pokemon viable, which I really, really like. But it did make me wonder, and it did make me think about a lot of the Pokemon and a lot of the moves and abilities that benefit a lot from same type attack bonus and what the interactions are going to be like. Now, not all of these do I have the answers for, but a lot of these are just things that I'm kind of bookmarking in my head that I'm going to want to try once Scarlet and Violet comes out, if this actually exists. Now, again, this is me talking about Scarlet and Violet a month before release. So by the time this video goes up, between now and when you actually see it, more information might have come out. The game might have come out. We might actually have the answers to these things. So I'm going to try and follow up on a lot of what I'm saying kind of in real time. So hopefully we can keep on board with that. Now, the first thing I thought about was Thousand Arrows, which, if you haven't seen Thousand Arrows before, I don't blame you. It is a move that essentially can hit flying types. It is a ground type, and it grounds the Pokemon, or it breaks air balloon, or it does any of that kind of stuff, takes out levitate, all that. Now, one thing that I thought about was, if you flying Terra a Pokemon, it obviously becomes a levitating Pokemon, right? Because you're gaining that ground immunity. Why else would you want to flying Terra if not to just do, I guess, your stab damage? But if you use Thousand Arrows, can you then use ground moves on a flying Terra Pokemon? My prediction on that is that it probably will interact like that. It probably will remove your levitating status if you're using it on a flying Terra Pokemon. But I mean, really, it's to be seen, and who knows if these kind of things were programmed in the game or if they were thought of. And I mean, really, who knows how long it's going to be until we get a Pokemon like Zygarde, who actually uses Thousand Arrows anyway. I just had to look up if Decidueye gets Thousand Arrows. It does not. That's a shame. Let's stay on moves for a little bit. I think that Freeze Dry is actually going to be a really neat move too. It's an ice type move that does super effective damage to water type Pokemon. So any kind of move that does type damage or does damage to certain types, I think is going to be really interesting going into Scarlet and Violet, right? If you have a water Terra type Pokemon that is there for coverage, you now have another move from kind of an unsuspecting Pokemon that will do super effective damage to it. Or if you can start to get Pokemon that have freeze dry in their kit, but aren't necessarily ice type Pokemon, you can now Terra type into the ice type and do super effective freeze dry on water type Pokemon. It's a little bit of a niche situation, but I would just love to see that interaction one time in a tournament. Just those over predicting Terra types. Like, oh man, I'm waiting for it. Let's talk about some abilities. I want to start with an easy one, Solid Rock. Okay, it reduces the damage from super effective moves by 25%. Now, Solid Rock is not actually just exclusive to rock type Pokemon like Rhyperior or Caracosta or whatever. I think Camerupt also gets it, and that's just a ground type. Is it ground and fire? Hold on. Yeah, it's ground and fire. Of course it's ground and fire. It's a volcano. Solid Rock can apply to anything, right? If you were to terastalize your Rhyperior into a flying type, it would still get Solid Rock. It would still reduce the damage of super effective moves by 25%, which can be a really good defensive strategy if you're trying to use Terastalization that way. Now that brings me to the one I'm actually thinking about and why I'm making this video in the first place. Adaptability. How is adaptability going to be working in Scarlet and Violet? Future Michael, this is a question to you. How is adaptability going to be working in Scarlet and Violet? The way that adaptability is worded in-game is that it powers up moves of the same type as the Pokemon. And the way that that is coded in the game is that same type attacks are boosted from a 1.5 times multiplier to a 2 times multiplier. How is that going to work with Terastalization? If I Terastalize a Pikachu into electric type, and its same type attack bonus goes from 1.5 to 2 times, and I somehow have adaptability onto it, is that Pikachu now going to do 0.5 times increased damage because adaptability brought it up by 0.5? If adaptability brought it from 50% to 100%, is that going to add 100% onto my 2 times and make it go up to what, 4 times? I don't know. Is it going to go up to 3 times? Because why not? Is it going to go up to 3.5 times? Anywhere from that spectrum, how much more powerful is that Pikachu going to be? I like to think that the way that that's going to work is that they're going to treat same type attack bonus like stages. If they don't already, I don't actually know if they do already. If you increase your attack, that goes up 1.5 times. If you go 2 stages, then that goes up 2 times. You know what I mean? I think that they're going to do the same kind of thing for same type attack bonus, right? If you're the same type, then you go up to 1.5 times damage. If you go Terra, then that goes another stage, so 1.5 to 2. And then if you get adaptability, then I think that it's going to go up by another stage. So it's going to go up from 2 times to 2.5 times. That's just kind of the way that I think it's going to go. But we'll see if I'm right on that one. We've had a pretty decent hit rate here on Pokésports, but I'm honestly not sure about how adaptability is going to work like that. Either way, it's still going to be a nuts move. I don't think it's going to be redundant, but I think it's going to be a nuts move. I'm too nerdy for this game. Okay, I got that out. Anyway, moving on. Now, one more move that I'm actually super curious on is the move Soak. How does Soak work with Terastalization? The way that Soak works, for those who don't know, is that when Soak is used on a Pokemon, both friendly or enemy, it changes their entire type to water, right? So if you use it on an electric type, it becomes a water type. If you use it on an electric and a flying type, it becomes a water type. Even dual typings just filter down to one type. And that's good defensively because then you can use electric moves on it and deal super effective damage. It's bad for the person who accepts the water type because now outgoing damage, if it's like electric, it will be doing 1 times damage. It will not get affected by same type attack bonus. How does that work for Terastalization? Right? If you have a electric type who Terra's electric type, I'm going to keep using this Pikachu for the example. If I use Soak on that Pikachu, is it going to be considered a original water type with a Terra type electric? Or is it going to replace the electric Terra type and just become all water? Right? So then the Thunderbolt that it uses, is it going to do 1.5 times damage because Terra is bringing it up to 1.5? Is it going to keep its 2 times damage for some reason? Is it going to go down to 1 times damage? I'm genuinely curious how this is going to work. Super, super genuinely curious. Also, really nerdy. This video will not be for everybody, but I know that there are some people out there who just have these little nuggets in their brain that just ask them what is going on with certain interactions. I know that Fu is going to be all over this when the game first comes out. Kevin also suggested Burn Up, which removes your fire type, which is I thought pretty interesting. If you use that on a Terra Fire Pokemon, does that remove its Terra Fire type? If you use it from a originally fire Pokemon, does it just remove its fire type? Does it keep its Terra Fire? Like how does that work? Will you always have a fire filter going on with your burn up after you use it the first time that is always a 1.5 times damage after the first 2 times damage that your Terra Fire Pokemon used burn up with? Again, I am too nerdy for this and I am starting to lose my voice. So I am going to call it a day there. If I mentioned anything that interests you, let me know in the comments down below. If I didn't mention anything, let me know in the comments down below. I know that I didn't talk about every single one of the things that affect super effective damage, but the point of this is just to kind of give thought and provoke thought as to what terastalization is going to be in Scarlet and Violet. Because honestly, I think that being able to choose one of the 18 types to change your Pokemon into is just genius. And doing so before the battle is just even more genius. Anyway, that's all. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. We've got lots more like this coming. If you enjoyed this, let me know, because this is my first time trying something like this, just standing up and talking for a little bit. Hope you enjoyed. I'll talk to you later. This is Mike. Play with one Pokemon on the field. See ya.